The Kingswood is an ancient and dense, large forest that lies across the Blackwater Rush from King's Landing. It lies in the southernmost Crownlands and forms a natural border with the northern Stormlands, with some parts of the wood encroaching into the Stormlands itself. Given the size and thickness of the forest, the most effective way to travel through it safely is via the King's Road, but it is not the only method of travel through the Kingswood, just the most safe and populous. Starting from a narrow lake in the forest, the Wendwater is the largest river in the Kingswood and an important defensive location. Additionally, the seat of House Fell of Fellwood is located in the southern outskirts of the forest, technically part of the northern Stormlands. It is rainy. Even during the driest of seasons, the region is fertile enough to support its population, as well as supply the towns and cities further afield, such as King's Landing. The Kingswood contains a private hunting area for the king and members of the royal family. Honoured lords and guests of the Red Keep have also been given permission to hunt there. However, some small folk live in villages in the forest who hunt the areas not protected by the crown. It has been common over the history of the Kingswood that the dark depths of the forest have been used as hiding places for outlaws, many of which have gone on to plague the Iron Throne by raiding traffic down the King's Road. In the Dawn Age of Westeros, the Kingswood was part of a vast primeval forest, which also includes the current Rainwood in the far south of the Stormlands, near Dawn. The scale of such a forest is unimaginable, considering the size the Kingswood even is today. It is believed that over thousands of years, much of this primeval forest was destroyed by natural disasters, and then further by the coming of the First Men, who cut down much of this ancient woodland, eventually separating the Kingswood and Rainwood into two separate forests. The forest, as far as the Blackwater Rush, was once within the domain of the Storm Kings of House Durrandon. In the aftermath of Aegon's conquest, the lands of the new Lords Paramount of the Stormlands, House Baratheon of Storm's End, were bound in the north by the south bank of the Wendwater and the southern Kingswood. The northern portion of the Kingswood became a part of the Crownlands of House Targaryen of King's Landing and has remained tied to the Iron Throne even after the downfall of House Targaryen. During the Faith militant uprisings between the years 41 and 48 AC, Poxy Janepaw led Poorfellows against King Maegor I Targaryen and his forces in the Kingswood, as the militants would use the deep forest as one of their key hiding spots, launching hit-and-run attacks against the crown. In 101 AC, Prince Baelon Targaryen, the second son and heir of King Aerys I, fell ill while hunting in the Kingswood and died 5 days later, causing a succession crisis that required the calling of a great council to decide. During the Dance of the Dragons, Trystane Truefire promised the starving small folk they could take deer and hares and rabbits from the woods, but not so far as boar or elk. But Lord Boros Baratheon seized the capital and ended the Moon of the Three Kings, and the promises were lost to time. Even into the reign of King Aegon III, outlaws working out of the Kingswood remained a thorn in the side of the Iron Throne, but not so much to cause large-scale intervention. During the reign of King Aegon IV Targaryen, known to history as Aegon the Unworthy, Aegon sent siege engines in the shape of dragons to attack Dorne through the Kingswood, but in turn almost burnt down a quarter of the wood when the 7 mechanical dragons caught fire. This was only made worse when the Kingswood suffered several fires during the droughts of 211 AC. In time, the forest did recover. During the reign of King Aerys II, the Mad King, around 281 AC, the forest was the hideout of an infamous band of outlaws, the Kingswood Brotherhood. In order to turn the small folk against the outlaws, Sir Arthur Dayne negotiated for villagers to have expanded grazing lands, the right to fell some trees, and the right to hunt a few of the king's deer in the autumn. The Kingswood was a favourite spot of King Robert I Baratheon, who spent much of his time as king there. He was hunting in the Kingswood when Queen Cersei Lannister gave birth to Prince Joffrey Baratheon. King Robert was hunting a White Hart in the Kingswood when he was mortally wounded by a boar. He was taken back to King's Landing, where he died soon after. It is said that the boar who killed him was fed to the guests at his funeral feast. During the War of Five Kings, Tyrion Lannister, the acting hand of the king to Joffrey I Baratheon, opens the Kingswood to any hunter willing to cross the Blackwater Rush as food was running so short of supply in King's Landing due to the war hampering trade and the looming siege of the city coming with Renly Baratheon on the march and Stannis waiting to set sail any day now. Tyrion sent expert woodsmen and the Vale Mountain clansmen who had accompanied him to King's Landing to the Kingswood in preparation for Stannis Baratheon's immediate arrival. There, they preyed on Stannis' line of march, particularly his baggage train, and harried his flanks. Leading Stannis' vanguard, Sir Gyard Morrigan burns part of the Kingswood to smoke out the clansmen. Sansa Stark can see the fires and smoke from the Red Keep. After the Battle of the Blackwater, the Stonecrows remain in the Kingswood. Sansa Stark and Margaery Tyrell cross the Blackwater Rush to find the northern edge of the wood to be a wilderness of ash and charcoal and dead trees. Later, Doran Martell, the Prince of Dorne, had been informed of scheming by Cersei Lannister. His son, Trystane, is to be ambushed by the supposed outlaws in the Kingswood while travelling in the company of Sir Baelon Swan to King's Landing. The Kingswood is a vital part of the Crownlands, not just because of the scale of the woods itself, but the resources it provides, and how it can be used in a conflict makes it a huge asset for any side. As the winds of winter begin to blow from the north, you can question what kind of role it could play in the wars to come.